One man walks up to a church door, holding a paper and a hammer. He nails the paper to the wooden door. It sounds like nothing, right? Just a nail and a note. But that sound shook the whole world. It started a change that no one could stop. That man was Martin Luther, and the paper he nailed was called the 95 Theses. In this video, you will learn the full story of what really happened. Why did he do it? What was written on that paper? And how did this one act change the church and the world forever? This is not just old history. It's a story about truth, courage, and standing up for what's right. Let's begin. A quiet man with big questions. Martin Luther was born in 1483 in Germany. He was not born rich or famous. He lived a simple life. At first, he wanted to be a lawyer. But one day, during a big storm, he was so scared that he promised God he would become a monk. So he joined the church and gave his life to studying the Bible. But as he read the Bible more and more, he noticed something strange. What he read in the Bible did not always match what the church was doing. Luther began to ask questions, not because he wanted to fight, but because he wanted the truth. What were indulgences? One thing that really upset Luther was something called indulgences. The church said people could buy these to forgive their sins. They even said it could help family members who had died. People were giving money because they were scared. Luther thought this was wrong. He believed only God could forgive sins. Not money, not papers, and not priests. To him, this was a trick. It was not what the Bible taught. Luther knew he had to speak up. He was not trying to be a hero. He just wanted people to stop being fooled. And that's where the story really begins. Writing the 95 Theses. In 1517, Luther sat down and wrote a list of 95 points. These were ideas and questions about what the church was doing wrong. Most of them were about indulgences and how people were being misled. He didn't yell or shout. He didn't attack anyone. He just wrote clearly and honestly. He hoped church leaders would talk with him. He wanted to fix the problems, not start a war. This list was later called the 95 Theses, and it was one of the most important papers ever written. Luther didn't know it yet, but this paper would change history. The hammer on the door. On October 31st, 1517, Luther took his list and walked to the church in Wittenberg. He nailed the 95 Theses to the church door. Back then, church doors were like public message boards. It was a normal way to start a discussion. But what happened next was not normal. People read the list and were shocked. Some were angry. Others were excited. They started making copies and passing it around. Soon, the whole town was talking about it. Then the whole country. Then all of Europe. Luther's words were like fire. They spread fast. The hammer on the door became the sound of change. The church gets angry. At first, church leaders thought they could ignore Luther. But as more people supported him, they got worried. They told him to stop. They said he was causing trouble. Some even called him a heretic. A heretic was someone who goes against the church. Back then, that was very serious. Heretics could be punished, even killed. But Luther did not stop. He said, "I cannot go against my conscience." That means he would not say something was true if he didn't believe it. He was scared, but he stayed strong. The church was powerful, but Luther had truth on his side. The power of the printing press. One reason Luther's message spread so fast was because of a new machine, the printing press. Before this, books were copied by hand. It took a long time. But now, people could print many pages quickly. Luther's 95 Theses were printed and shared everywhere. People who never read the Bible before were now reading Luther's words. They started asking questions too. The printing press helped turn one man's ideas into a movement, a trial with the whole world watching. In 1521, Luther was called to a big meeting. It was called the Diet of Worms. No, it's not about food. It was a meeting of powerful people in the Holy Roman Empire. They wanted Luther to say I was wrong. They wanted him to take back everything he said. But Luther stood in front of them and said something very brave. He said, "Here I stand. I can do no other." That meant he would not lie just to be safe. He was not trying to be famous. He just wanted to follow what he believed was true. Many people were shocked by his courage. He could have died that day, but someone helped him escape. Hiding in a castle with a pen. After the trial, Luther had to hide. A friend took him to a castle called Wittenberg Castle. He stayed there for almost a year. He used a fake name and wore different clothes. While hiding, he did something amazing. He translated the Bible into German. Before this, only priests could read the Bible in Latin. Now, normal people could read it in their own language. This was a big change. It gave people the power to understand faith for themselves. Luther's work in that quiet castle helped millions of people later. Even while hiding, he was still changing the world with his pen. A new church is born. Luther never planned to start a new church. But after everything that happened, many people broke away from the old church and followed his teachings. This was the beginning of the Protestant church. The word Protestant comes from protest. They protested against things they believed were wrong. They did not want to pay for forgiveness. They wanted to pray and read the Bible on their own. Luther helped them believe they could do that. A new kind of faith had started. Why his hammer still echoes today. Even though it's been more than 500 years, Luther's hammer is still remembered, not because of the noise it made, but because of what it meant. It meant that one person can stand up against a giant system. It meant that truth is worth fighting for, even if it's scary. Today, we still face problems. Sometimes we feel small or afraid to speak. But Luther's story shows that one voice can start a wave. He used words, not weapons. He used truth, not force. And that made all the difference. That's why people still talk about his 95 Theses even today. Be the one who stands up. You may think, I'm just one person. What can I do? But so was Martin Luther. He didn't have a big army. He didn't have lots of money. He had ideas and he believed in them. You don't have to be loud or famous to make a difference. You just have to be honest and brave. When something is wrong, speak up. When you see someone being treated unfairly, say something. Your voice matters. Like Luther, you can also stand up for truth. Even small actions can make big changes, just like one hammer on one door did. If you learned something today or felt inspired, take a small step. Maybe read one part of history, ask a question, or speak up when it matters. The ripple that never stops. What Martin Luther did was not just something small or something that happened only once. It was the start of something very big. When he nailed his paper to the church door, it was like throwing a small stone into a quiet pond. At first, it looked small, but soon the ripples began to move. They touched the hearts of many people. His hammer hit more than just wood. It touched people's minds and feelings. It made them think, maybe we can also speak up. Every time someone tells the truth, helps others, or stands up for what is right, that ripple grows bigger. The world began to change because one man was brave, but it keeps changing because many others followed. Luther showed that one strong voice can wake up the world. His courage gave people hope then, and it still gives people hope now. Even today, when you speak with honesty or do something kind, you are part of that same ripple. His light, his voice, and his strength are not lost. They live on through you. The message lives on. Even though Martin Luther lived many, many years ago, his story still matters today. People in schools, churches, and homes still talk about him and what he did. He was just one man without much power, but he had something very special. He was not afraid to tell the truth. He saw something wrong and wanted to fix it, not for himself, but for everyone. He showed that one person, even without money or an army, can change the world by being brave and honest. His biggest wish was for people to read the Bible, think for themselves, and not be tricked by anyone. Today, many people still follow this idea. They read, they learn, and they speak up when something is not right. Martin Luther's words still help people be strong and fair. His story teaches us that we do not need to be famous or rich to do something good. Even if we are young or small, we can stand up for what is true. His message lives on in the hearts of all who want to make the world a kinder and better place. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more stories that help you learn in easy ways. Share this with a friend who also loves learning cool facts about the past. Remember, big changes often begin with one small step, one paper, one voice, one idea. Luther's story proves that truth is stronger than fear, and your voice could be the next to shake the world.